Hello friends, I am Dr. T.S.K. Dhanam, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics in Arulmigu Palaniyandavar College, Palani at Dindigul. Today I am going to talk about on the topic of economic growth and development in India. What is economic growth? Economic growth can be referred as the increase that is witnessed in the monetary value of all the goods and services produced in the economic during a time period. It is a type of quantitative measure that reflects the potential increase in the number of business transactions taking place in the economy. It can be measured in some terms of the increase in the aggregated market value of all additional goods and services produced by using economic concepts such as GDP and GNP. Economic growth is a narrow concept when compared to economic development. Next, why economic growth is so important in the society? Economic growth, the society's standard of living and also its ability to produce all goods and services within the country. There are the large changes in the standard of living over a time. Productivity per unit of a labor input is crucial. A nation's standard of living is determined by the productivity of its workers. So, economic growth are are working as a cycle in the society, like economic growth, high tax revenue, public sector investment, private sector investment, increased productivity capital. So, by this chart, we can know how economic growth is so important in this society. Next is how economic growth is measured. Economic growth is country in a country is measured by the country's gross domestic product, that means GDP in 1 year. The GDP is equal to the total amount of final goods and services produced in 1 year within a country. And next, there are four factors of economic growth. What are they? They are natural resources, human capital, capital goods, entrepreneurship. And next, limitations of economic growth. There are some points to the limitations of economic growth. The first point is inequality and distribution. Economic growth doesn't necessarily reduce the relative poverty, it depends on the distribution of income. Economic growth could bypass the poorest in the society. For example, 90s 80s, the Gini coefficient rose sharply. The highest for 1% gained disproportionately more. Next point is negative externalities. Externalities. Economic growth can cause negative externalities such as pollution, higher crime rates, and congestion, which actually reduce the living standards. For example, China has experienced very rapid economic growth, but it's now experienced very serious level of air pollution in major cities. Next point is economic growth may conflict with the environment. Increased carbon production is leading to the global warming. Economic growth may bring benefits in the short term but causes in the long term. It depends on what produced it. The sewing unit has fantastic rates of economic growth, but often through producing a lot of steel and pig ions that was not actually very useful. And next point is economic growth can be unsustainable. If growth is too rapid, it will cause inflation, current account deficit, and can lead to boom and blast. What is economic growth in the aims of development? There are human capital, literacy ratio, infrastructure, health and general welfare of the citizen, where areas economic growth is a phenomenon of market productivity and raises in the GDP. Next, economic development is quantitative and qualitative changes in economy. It gives some changes to qualitative and quantitative economy. It promoting the standard of living and economic health. It helps to human development index is one of the most accurate method for measuring it, which takes into the account the return rates and life expectancy. And next is modernization and industrialization plays a very important role in economic development of a nation. Next, factors affecting the economic development. That is, first is inflation. Inflation distorts business decisions as a buying capacity of consumer reduces. Next is tax level. Tax levels, income tax and sales tax. For example, VAT affect how much consumer have to spend, hence the demand. Next is interest rates. Interest rates can impact the growth of an industry. For example, high car loan interest rate will discourage the vehicle industry. Uh, Next is governmental policies. Provides a friendly environment for business to move into and operate within a community. These are the factors affecting by the economic development. Next is uh, consistent. Consistent is an important event for companies that do not import or export goods. Government interventions. Many industries are regulated by the government, which ensures safety of consumers, employees, and natural resources. Overall, economic health. The economic state of the country and consumer confidence can also support development and harm to it. Social and cultural values affect economic development through attitude toward progress. Foreign direct investment. Next, what are the indicators of economic growth? First is GDP, gross domestic product, the value of output produced within a country during a time period. Next is GNP, gross national product, the value of output produced within a country plus net property income from abroad. GDP or GNP per head per Shandila takes account of the size of the population. The real GDP and GNP accounts for difference in price levels in different countries is a real GDP and GNP. The importance of economic growth. Economic growth is so important because it is a necessary ingredient for both higher incomes and higher living standards. Per capita GDP is the nation's GDP divided by its population. Growth of a per